The Patriots are back, baby. That's right.
Oh,
We are so back. The champs are here. I have a football team again. I am so excited.
So we can't respond.
I have the mics
malarkey,
off
bro.
intentionally tonight. How we doing? Pack it up, pack it in. Let us begin. Plenty to talk about tonight. 3 for 60 is live on the air from the Bill Austin Radio Studio here in downtown Phoenix, Arizona. I'm AJ Goncalves, as always, joined by the two best in the business, Traver Cox, Sebastian Friar. Gentlemen, how are you guys doing here on this wonderful Wednesday?
I'm having an absolutely exquisite Wednesday, AJ. Thanks for asking. It's game day for our intramural basketball league, getting ready for the first game of this quarter.
I like exquisite. That's good.
Well, AJ, just like your Patriots are back, my Sixers are back. We just, got taken down by the Washington Wizards.
Woo!
So
Catch the flag.
That's what I'm saying. We're capture the flag. We're smoking hot right now. We're coming right down the wire. I think we can keep this losing streak extended, maybe around to 10 games. I think that should be enough to get us top 4 in terms of worst records in the NBA. Maybe a little lottery luck. And I'll tell you, just like the 4 more days of the Sixers getting that first overall pick, there's no way we can mess it up this time.
There's always a way.
Always.
There's always a way.
Always is.
Guys, glad to have you here. Very special day for me. Stefon Diggs heading to the Patriots. I want to definitely get into that tonight. Russell Wilson heading to the Giants. That's something we're also going to touch in on tonight. We'll do the next version of our rebuild. We'll do it pretty fast. Got a couple MLB takes with opening day starting tomorrow, and we'll obviously touch on a lot of other sports tonight. So let's get right to it. Why don't we start with the quarterback? I think the QB is a much more important position than a wide receiver. So Russell Wilson heading to the New York Giants on a 1-year deal. Oh, boy. I forgot to hit the pause button. I'm off. Sorry, Stefon Diggs, man. I'm distracted. Russell Wilson, New York Giants, 1-year deal. I think it's $10.5 million guaranteed. Russell Wilson, give me the thoughts, guys.
If you told me there was Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston in a quarterback room in 2018, I might have gotten excited, but man, this was just brutal. I don't see how this saves, Shane and Dable's jobs. I'm pretty sure this rules out quarterback at 3, barring anything, weird, which is just super weird to me. Why not try to take your guy in a year that, is crucial for your job? It just makes no sense. It feels like, a baby step forward, but just to take a couple big steps back in another year or two.
Well, AJ mentioned Russell Wilson, and Blaze Fair try to go to a commercial break right away because no one wants to talk about Russell Wilson. That's how relevant he's starting to become. But in terms of the Giants, why they're having Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston in their quarterback room? Because Joe Shane and Brian Dable aren't going to give Shedeur Sanders the keys to the job, and then potentially Shedeur Sanders having both of them get fired at the end of the season. They're trying to win some games, and they think a veteran quarterback is the only way they have a chance at saving their job. It is looking ugly, and that was my major fear going into this offseason with the Giants. They're going to try to keep this team competitive because those two guys know if they have another 4 or 5 win season, they're both right out the door, and a brand new regime is coming in for the New York Giants. So they go in and like the veteran quarterback in Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston. Russell Wilson coming out today, and it sounded pretty entitled to me. I expect to be the starter here. That's just so entitled from a guy who hasn't done absolutely anything in over 3 seasons in the NFL.
God he isn't in Denver.
So it's just ridiculous to me. You got to come in with a more humble mentality, especially with Jameis Winston. Well, he's not a starting caliber quarterback as of right now due to the turnovers. He's definitely a very respectable guy, and it should be a quarterback battle between him and Jameis Winston. Overall, from the Giants, I think that pretty clearly takes off quarterback at pick number 3. Is kind of in my eyes. You just don't bring in 2 veteran quarterbacks and then all of a sudden still take a rookie quarterback unless they're planning to sit Shedeur. I just don't think that's the plan with 2 guys on the hot seat. So I think overall we're looking at probably Travis Hunter going to the New York Giants unless the Cleveland Browns want to snag him up at 2. And if that were to happen, I think the Giants would be heavy trade down candidates.
God, do I hope the Browns take Shedeur Sanders at 2 as a Patriots fan right now, man. I am so hoping for that. It seems like Cam Ward's going 1, Shedeur's going to go 2, 3. You'd have to think it's Hunter. Just give me Abdul Carter. Let's walk away with Abdul Carter. All because the Patriots had to win a meaningless Week 18 game, or else they could have the number 1 pick. But I'll stick with Russell Wilson because I think he's the subject line here. Always felt to us, at least, when they got Jameis Winston, they had to do something else. I guess this is the something else. It clearly tells you it's either one of 2 things. 1, they're out on Shedeur. They don't want to take the risk. Or B, they somehow have intel that he's going to the Browns at 2. And there's going to be both QBs off the board. Those are the only 2 reasons I can think of you signing Russell Wilson at this point. I like Russell Wilson. You could do a lot worse, I guess. This team can't get any worse. This just feels to me like Dayball and Shane, as we said, trying to just save face here, save their jobs a bit.
Yeah.
Let's get to the more important one now. Stefon Diggs, baby. Big play Diggs going home, going to Foxborough, going to be with the Patriots. Love the move. I absolutely do. People are somehow crushing them for overpaying for this guy. I mean, it's an opinion for sure. What is it, $29 million guaranteed? I'm not concerned about this at all. I think Stefon Diggs last year before his knee injury was a very productive receiver. The Patriots obviously did not have any productive receivers last year. They need a body in that room, and Stefon Diggs is more than just a body. He's a solid veteran wide receiver who can be a plug and play. They needed to get weapons for Drake May. This is the one thing we said about this team all season. They finally get that. Stefon Diggs, is he the receiver he once was in Buffalo? No, I don't think so. But can he still be a solid receiver for the Patriots? Yeah. Oh, yeah. With Drake May there? Of course. I think it's the best move they could have made on the board. I mean, I think Stefon Diggs was the best receiver available. They went out and got the best receiver available. People are going to crush him for an overpay, but I'm not. They had to get the player. They absolutely did. You crush him for an overpay, that's fine. That's your choice. I'm not the team accountant. I don't care about the money. I don't think the Patriots really do either. $28 million guaranteed, not bad, not an overkill. I think it's okay. I'm fine with the signing. I'm all on board. Give me Stefon Diggs, man. Give him to me. If the Patriots have a good draft, they could somehow find a way to get themselves Hunter or Carter, something like this. I will be stoked as a Patriots fan. I finally have a good football team coming back to Foxborough. They can be a legit contender in the AFC East. In the AFC East, not the AFC. I mean, you guys want to roll your eyes here. I think it's the truth.
Wild card.
I just, and also I don't know why you're acting like finally back, like your team hasn't won 6 Super Bowls.
Well, I mean, I'm saying finally back. Finally,
post Brady era.
Finally back from these dark days. I mean, my team has sucked for 2 years now, at least.
2 years.
Yeah, I know. I like good football, Traver. Oh yeah, I know. Suffer for AJ, but
sorry. This is a small market fan of me talking. I'm a little salty, obviously, but I mean, like you said, this was I think the obvious move for New England to make. The best receiver left on the market. Yeah, it's a bit of an overpay, but what else are you going to do when you're kind of, I don't know how to say it, devout of talent in New England. It's not like they have a lot of talent outside of Drake May and a couple pieces on the line, maybe. So I think this is a guy, I don't know if he's going to be a true wide receiver 1. I don't think this rules out Tet for me at 4 if I'm the Patriots, but definitely a good addition, a bit of a safety blanket, great red zone target for your, second-year quarterback to help him take that next step, I'd say.
Well, there's a lot of things that are true with this scenario right here. Diggs, was he a necessity for the New England Patriots? Absolutely. Was it an overpay? Absolutely. But the little guaranteed money really doesn't kill the Patriots that much. Do agree with you on that aspect, AJ. And it's a player you had to go get. The Patriots receiving room was the worst one in the league, hands down. Now you get Diggs, automatically becomes the best guy in that room, and it's not even a single debate. Matt Collins was the big offseason addition to that room. That is practically completely unacceptable. We all know how AJ feels about that. We all know how most Patriots fans probably felt about that addition. Diggs, all of a sudden, is he the guy he used to be with the Bills? No. Is he a top 10 receiver? No. Is he a wide receiver 1 anymore? Absolutely not. But he's going to be a guy that's going to come in. He's going to be a chain mover for Drake May, like a little safety blanket, like you mentioned there, Traver. And he's going to rack up receptions. He's got really good hands. He's going to be a playmaker. He's going to be a very solid player. The Patriots still need to add guys to that receiver room, absolutely, because Stefon Diggs in the year 2025 is just simply not going to be enough for the Patriots to really power. And, the Patriots, I think this is still AJ's face. But, I think for the Patriots, this is still more of a transitional year. I'm not going to go fly high. I know AJ's really happy about this, and the Patriots definitely have made a lot of improvements both in the coaching staff and the player personnel. But I still think this is a transition year. Are they going to be a number 1 overall pick contender again? I do not believe so. But, to say they're contenders in the AFC East, a division that Josh Allen has simply owned ever since Brady has stepped away, I just disagree a little bit with that. I think we need to pause a little bit. Unless Drake May wants to take a huge step and be an MVP candidate, sure, I'll welcome it. But Josh Allen next year is going to be an MVP candidate once again. He's going to have a very high level of play. The Bills are always going to be around 12, 13 wins, and I just still think it's a little bit too high of a margin for the Patriots to still get there. I just don't believe the Patriots have a ceiling of getting 12, 13 wins. The Bills' ceiling is the number 1 seed. I just don't think the Patriots' ceiling is anywhere near that.
I agree with that. I'm just saying they should be a borderline playoff team. There is no reason for this team with their schedule next year. There's no reason for them to not be a playoff contender.
7 wins around-ish.
It should be higher. It should be even higher.
7, 8.
I think 7 wins you should be content.
9.
I just don't trust the pieces really in the trenches on the offensive side for the most part.
Yeah, we got to see the draft too.
Yeah. Drake May running game. I think that's the key. Right
yeah, but is there really a good enough offensive lineman to take it 4? I don't think so. Unless they fall in love with Membu, which I can see happening. I think they could take him at 4. But if they don't, if they take a Carter If they take 100, yeah, that makes you better. But man, that offensive line still stinks. It still stinks.
No running game whatsoever still. So, I think, like I said, the Patriots transitional year next year, and they're going to be a lot better.
Something.
You're going to be excited watching a lot of those games, especially you might get into some shootouts out there with Drake May. He's going to be stellar, especially going head-to-head with Josh Allen. I think that's going to excite you a lot. But, maybe can they sneak into the playoffs? We'll see. Obviously, time will tell. It's all up to the development of the young players and how Mike Vrabel and his coaching staff is able to develop that team. But, I think that's going to be one of those situations we wait and watch. But definitely, I'm not going to be too high on the Patriots even making the playoffs over some of these teams that I think are just more complete.
Yeah, I think mostly of all this makes the New England Patriots just more fun to watch, and I think the league is better when the Patriots are good too. There's an easy team at the top. Maybe it's just because the era I grew up in, but it seems like the team at the top to hate. But I think the league's better when they're there, when they're the top guys that have to be taken down.
I haven't been this excited about a Patriots signing in a minute now. So very happy with Stefon Diggs. I can't lie.
Rough couple of years, eh?
Since Brady left.
What about Milton Williams?
I wasn't thrilled. Milton Williams, I think he could be good, but let's be honest, that was an Eagles rotational piece. I'm not going to overreact to Milton Williams, but very happy with Stefon Diggs. It's been a minute since I think it's been, honestly, since Antonio Brown that I was that ecstatic about a signing. And Antonio Brown, that didn't work. He lasted a week in Foxborough, but hoping for the best for Stefon Diggs, man. I even went on his Instagram and commented, "Welcome to New England, big time."
Oh, yeah, he saw that. 100%.
Ready to go. I'm sure he's going to like it tonight when he goes to sleep.
We'll get him on the podcast soon.
Love it, man. Love it. I am rooting for him big time. NFL rebuild time. Interesting team, especially because we just talked about Russell Wilson. The guy who's Russell Wilson's leaving. The team he's leaving. The Pittsburgh Steelers are pick 21 in this upcoming draft. I'm excited to do this one. I think there's going to be a lot of controversial things said here in the next 10 minutes, maybe. So we'll see. Pittsburgh Steelers, pick 21. Currently no quarterbacks. Maybe they draft one. Maybe they do. We'll see. Pittsburgh, on the clock at 21. Traver, Sebastian, what do you guys do if you're Pittsburgh?
Man, I think at the position they put themselves in, trading for DK, allocating all that money, not really blowing up the defense at all, keeping most of your guys, bringing in an older Darius Slay. It feels like they're just trying to compete for 9 or 10 wins again, and it feels directionless. I say this over and over again. They don't have a franchise quarterback, and until you do, you are not a Super Bowl contender. That is the reason that the Steelers haven't been in contention since Big Ben was good, and the reason they won't be until they find their next quarterback. These bridge guys, these late first-round guys, Kenny Pickett, it's just not working out. I'm sick of talking about the Steelers like they're contenders every year when they start out 8-3 or something. But I'd say at 21, sorry, a bit of a rant there. I'm just sick of Steelers fans, I'd say. I'd say you need to shore up the left side of that offensive line. I like the right side a lot. Troy Fautanu, developing tackle. Mason McCormick was a great rookie guard last year. Zach Frazier, I think, had a decent rookie year at center. But outside of that, man, it's pretty brutal. Broderick Jones looking like one of the worst first-round picks of the past couple of years. Guy just cannot stay on the field. So I think if I'm the Steelers, I'm taking left tackle. I don't really think there's a quarterback worth the value at 21 for you to take. I mean, maybe if you really fall in love with Dart, I just don't think he's worth it at that high. Maybe you can get him round 2. I mean, I don't really know what you do with the Steelers. Feels like they've really, pinched themselves in a hole again here. I guess maybe Rodgers is the answer now, so you can go win 10 games again. That just feels like a cycle that they're never going to get out of until they get under a new regime.
Well, I've drawn a couple conclusions the last couple of days, especially since we did our mock draft with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Obviously, Russell Wilson goes off the board. Aaron Rodgers is the clear option still available as a veteran quarterback. It's between the Vikings or the Steelers. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers has come out and basically said, I want to go to the Vikings instead of Pittsburgh. But I just don't think that option in Minnesota is going to be quite as open as Rodgers would have thought. I think the Steelers are going to offer Aaron Rodgers a solid 1-year deal, so I think he'll end up in Pittsburgh. So that's the first move I would do, just to shore up the quarterback room. You just need to add someone else outside of just Mason Rudolph, though. But you're sitting here at 21. And what do you still need? You need a young quarterback. You need to restart that quarterback room, especially because you picked Kenny Pickett, didn't work out. You realize that Russell Wilson didn't work out. Justin Fields didn't work out. You just need to make that quarterback room more young. You can't keep going with this mindset of these bridge veteran quarterback types going in. They're bailing you out. So at 21, if Jackson starts there, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to take Jackson Dart. I just don't think.
I think it'd be dumb.
I don't think it would be dumb. I think he's got tools, especially if you have Aaron Rodgers there, and you believe
Kenny Pickett had tools too, dude.
Not as many tools as Jackson Dart. I do believe the ceiling of Jackson Dart's a lot higher, especially going into that draft.
21 just feels like a massive reach.
We talked about Kenny Pickett in that draft, and we knew Kenny Pickett was a guy with a high floor, low ceiling. I think Jackson Dart's a guy with a low floor, high ceiling. Complete opposite than what Kenny Pickett was. I would take a chance on Jackson Dart because you need to make that quarterback room younger, especially you pair him up right behind a future Hall of Fame quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. Is Aaron Rodgers really going to be the perfect role model for Dart? I don't believe so, but I think they have the coaching staff to potentially develop a quarterback there. Arthur Smith, say what you want about him. He's led a couple of good big-time offenses, especially with the run game back out there in Tennessee. I think they can definitely do it. Get a quarterback there, develop him behind Aaron Rodgers is the move I would do from the Pittsburgh Steelers. And, right now, I have no clue where Shedeur Sanders is going. I think Cam Ward's going number 1. I think that's pretty much a lock, especially if you look at the betting books. But Shedeur Sanders, if he doesn't go to the Browns or the Giants, I have no clue how far that guy can slide. And if he slides outside the top 10, if I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm making phone calls. You have to trade up. I think this is a guy that you bring right in there, slid right into the draft, and can come in there and really lead that offense to powerful ways with DK Metcalf and George Pickens there. Shedeur Sanders, if he slides a little bit, if I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm making a lot of phone calls to trade up. But as of right now, assuming he still goes in the top 10, I take Dart, develop him behind Aaron Rodgers. The offensive line, Broderick Jones definitely looks like a bust, unfortunately, so you have to address that need, some type of depth. I would address that day 2 of the draft. Defense, still like the front 7. Cam Hayward, ages like fine wine. The linebacking core, Patrick Quinn was a little inconsistent, but I still believe in him as a football player. Peyton Wilson made some plays for them last year as well. Alex Highsmith on the opposite side of TJ Watt, we know he's going to be a potential candidate for Defensive Player of the Year. Highsmith on the other side is going to complement him very well. Darius Slay can still play at this age. The Sean Elliott, very underrated player, back end of the defense, the safety position. Minka Fitzpatrick, I still am pretty high on him. He's probably still going a little bit further downhill, but I don't think he's fallen off a cliff enough for me to rule him out. Joey Porter Jr. is still a very solid corner, so there's pieces in that defense for them to still be great. I'm not a fan of Terrell Austin. He's their defensive coordinator. I think he's going to hold that defense back. I'm high on the Pittsburgh Steelers for them to go out and win a Super Bowl. Absolutely not. But I think they can make some moves this offseason that can dictate what they're going to do in the future. And I think it is a must for them in that position at 21 because I don't think they'll be up there next year. To take a guy like Arch Manning, they need to address the quarterback position. I think Jackson Dart is a guy who has enough tools for me to be worth it drafting him at 21.
I think to find a franchise quarterback, you have to play the game of lottery now. I think that's the best way to do it. You have to take a shot on someone. I love the idea for Pittsburgh. They'll never do it. I would trade up to number 1. I would trade all the way up if the Titans want to get really serious about it. I would go up there. You need something. You need some flashes on this offense. It's too stale. It's been the same thing every single year for essentially my entire life watching football with Pittsburgh. Since Antonio Brown walked out the door, this offense has just been stale. It's been irrelevant. It's been stale. If I am Pittsburgh, I'm dead serious. I'm taking a quarterback, and I want a wide receiver. I want 3 wide receivers out there who can make plays every week for my team. It is way too stale right now for Pittsburgh. They need an explosive home run hitter running back. They need wide receivers. I'm fine at the tight end room. I'm good there, but this team needs to be explosive. Their defense is okay. I'll say it's solid. I want wide receiver. I want one more wide receiver with Pickens.
Buka. Underrated pick.
Emeka Ibuka.
I like that.
Maybe not Luther Burden. I hear he's kind of a little bit of a diva. I don't know if that would work with Pickens and Metcalf already there.
Yeah, that sounds like a nice.
Scary.
I wouldn't take that risk if I'm them. Emeka Ibuka seems like the guy for me. I would take a quarterback. I would go trade back in to a wide receiver. They're not going to do that. I think they're going to take Jackson Dart and just try to play this lottery game again. Dart's ceiling way higher than Kenny Pickett. I think Kenny Pickett, for some weird reason, was just like, he goes to Pitt. He's going to come over to Pittsburgh. We have a QB farm system over there in Pitt. But it obviously didn't work out for obvious reasons. Kenny Pickett stinks. Jackson Dart has a pretty high ceiling. I mean, if you watch his film, watch the tape. I've begun my study here on the quarterbacks here, done a little tape. Not going to say I've studied offensive linemen. Not going to say I've done everything. I start at the most important position. That's quarterback. Jackson Dart's ceiling's pretty high. It is. And the Steelers need hope. They need something. They have no quarterbacks in that room right now. You got to get me one. I would trade up if I'm Pittsburgh, by the way. I would give up multiple picks. Go in. Let's go. If you're going to go all in with Metcalf, you have to tell me you're all in. You go. And for God's sakes, don't sign Aaron Rodgers. Don't do it. Don't.
They have to.
Yeah, they
have to.
I would rather start with a rookie quarterback.
Not with the roster they have. You can't trade for DK Metcalf and all of a sudden throw a rookie quarterback unless it's Shedeur Sanders, who I think Shedeur Sanders can be ready to play day 1. I just think with Jackson Dart, he has so much mental processing to really go through in the NFL because the offense they ran at Ole Miss was so simplified for him. I think he definitely needs time in the NFL. If it's for Shedeur Sanders, though,
I was saying Cam Ward or Shedeur.
Cam Ward. The thing is,
that would be fun.
Yes,
Cam Ward's going one of the Titans.
They won't. No, they won't trade up.
The
Steelers will not trade up.
Cam Ward's pretty clearly going number one. I think the Giants probably would have tried to trade up at number one. I think the whole word around the NFL is the Titans are falling in love with Cam Ward. That's why I'm kind of ruling that out. But
especially after his pro day.
Pro day. They had a good dinner with him apparently. Yeah, it's all pointed towards Cam Ward being, hands down the number one overall pick. But Shedeur Sanders is the guy I'm watching because I have no idea where he's going to go. I think that's the guy Pittsburgh should trade up for.
Okay, Shedeur Sanders, Pittsburgh Steelers. Again, I'm not going to restate points about the defense. We're not going to talk about safeties. I'm a QB guy. I'm a big believer in television and radio ratings, turning up the dial. So QB, that's what I'm watching for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, it's the obvious, but you can just call me Captain Obvious from now on. I really don't care. Coming up now, okay, I want to talk about baseball opening days here. It's coming up tomorrow. I have a take that I don't know if I got to, like in our shows this past week, even last week. There is a cloud that is just hanging over this MLB season for me that I am going to be watching like a hawk. I'll say it right now. This is a warning out to MLB owners, MLB players, MLB PA head Tony Clark, Rob Manfred, the soon-to-be leaving commissioner. The CBA is ending at the end of the season. That's the collective bargaining agreement. It ends at the end of the season. There is a chance there's no baseball next year. That's actually on the table. Knowing how this league works and knowing how, slow everything goes in baseball. I mean, I saw it during COVID. It took them forever to get back on the field. That's why I'm going to say this. You better not screw this one up, Major League Baseball. I'm talking directly to you. If somehow there is no, from a year from now, next year at this time, there's no opening day next year because you guys couldn't figure it out this offseason with a collective bargaining agreement, I'm going to lose my marbles, and I think a lot of you guys are too, for a sport that is dying. It's dying. It's dying. It's a ship that is sinking faster than the Titanic already. If there's no baseball and there is a CBA type of work stoppage, anything like this, that'll be the dagger for baseball. That'll be it. They'll lose this whole generation right here. They already are, number one. If you do that, you're going to lose guys like me who have actually, care about baseball. I will be fed up. You can't do it. Please do not do it. I'm begging, as a guy who wants baseball to come back, as a guy who believes in baseball, if there is no baseball to start next year because the owners and the players are too greedy and it's about money, ashamed. They should be so ashamed of themselves. They should lose their money. They should lose their playing time. And they're not going to be worth my time. I'll tell you that. If they somehow do that and there's no baseball next year to start the season,
soccer.
I'll move over. I'm all good. I'll start watching lacrosse instead. I'm all good. I've already started, but I'm all good. I will move off of baseball completely. As a Red Sox fan, it's crazy to say, but you want to play games like that? Fine. You don't count me in. And I think a lot of people in our generation have already tuned out baseball, and then that'll just be the nail in the coffin for baseball. I know we were talking about nails and coffins with cable, but I'm serious about this one. MLB, be real careful. Get the CBA done. Even if one side looks bad, you need baseball. Without it, the product will die. It will unofficially die. Yes, the old-timers, grandparents at home, I know you guys love baseball. The younger generation that actually somewhat cares about baseball will be essentially non-existent. Please, let there be baseball in 2026.
That's a good take, AJ. I just hate when money gets in the way of entertainment.
Well, the big thing about the MLB is, they're already doing so many things wrong. We didn't have any sports counting today, Wednesday night, Tuesday night, Monday night, and they want to wait till the Sweet 16 starts tomorrow to have their opening day where not all 30 teams are playing. It just makes absolutely no sense. They still have this little gap day between playing Thursday opening day, and most teams are off Friday. It makes no sense. Everybody's excited baseball's back. So let's take half the teams away the very following day. It just still never makes sense. I know for a lot of teams it's a little make-up rain date technically, but if you don't play in an environment that rains, everybody should be playing Thursday, Friday. We'll start your season Friday. In my opinion, they should have started the season on Monday. It was a pretty clear representation based on the scheduling this week that they should have moved up the start date. As AJ mentioned, going back to the COVID season, it took forever for them to get out on the field and actually play baseball. This time around, who knows what's going to happen. They take forever to negotiate basic free agency deals in the MLB. This is a lot bigger. I think it's also going to take its time. So who knows what's going to happen a year from now. I think the MLB needs serious changes because, I'm not against the Dodgers whatsoever because their ownership actually wants to win and they want good product. They want World Series rings. But just the way baseball's functioning, unfortunately, I think there needs to be changes because due to the owners, unfortunately, they are ruining the game. So you have to control what other teams can do to keep the game balanced and fairly competitive. Unfortunately,
I'll say there needs to be a salary cap.
Floor. There has to be at least a floor.
Both.
At least a floor. But I think there has to be both, just because owners are just going to get to the floor and just stop spending. That's all they're going to do, and the Dodgers are going to keep spending and spending. Good for the Dodgers. I am complimented. This is a compliment for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Not a diss. They're doing everything right, but just because they're doing everything right, that means every single owner is doing everything wrong, outside of maybe a couple like the Red Sox maybe trying to compete. But, there's so many organizations that have a chance to truly compete. Me as an Orioles fan, they had a true chance to cement themselves as true contenders, and they just fail to do so because it's all talk, and they don't really act upon it and spend their money, and they just keep it in their pockets and be cheap about it. So baseball has a big problem with that, and that needs to be solved as well as the new CA coming in next year.
I'd say especially small markets have a massive problem with that.
Be sure to like our baseball content, by the way. Instagram. Check it out. Posted a little something. You can catch our whole baseball preview episode. As fast as we can, guys. We got about a minute left here. Give me a closing take, something I can, chew on here until we talk on Friday.
I really feel like the Avs can beat the Stars in a round one series. It's really heading towards that. I think whether it'll be 6 or 7, which I think it has to be if this is a series that ends up happening, I really think the Avalanche could give them a run for the money and maybe win.
Nice.
Champions League next week coming back up. Real Madrid, PSG is the one I'm looking forward to in the semifinal. I think those two teams, I'd be shocked if they don't go through, so that's my final take. Look forward towards Real Madrid. PSG skip this round a little bit because Arsenal, Aston Villa, both are going to go home very, very quickly.
All right, coming up this week, folks, we'll be back on Spotify Friday. We'll do our podcast. We will get it out on a Friday. Don't care what it takes. If arms and legs have to come off, we will still be doing a podcast. I don't care what it takes. We will be doing a podcast Friday. I want to do a little something special there. Top 15 quarterbacks. Look for that. That's coming up. I want to see where things are at least in our rankings as we head toward the draft. Big stuff coming up here. Instagram getting better. Make sure to follow us over there. 3 for 60, 3 FOR 460. Pretty simple stuff. YouTube, check that out. I know Sebastian's been working hard with clips there.
Video coming out this weekend. MLB predictions. I'm going to make some graphics for it. Look out for it this weekend.
Sweet. Traver, continue working with the Twitter. Good stuff. Spotify, updated as always. And, essentially new news here too. All these episodes we do on Wednesdays will now be uploaded to Spotify as well. I'm trying to get a way for us, to be able to record. You can see us here in the studio, but that'll come soon. But nonetheless, have a great week. Always feels like it flies by in here, and we'll see you next Wednesday here on Blaze, but we'll see you Friday on Spotify.
From Traver Cox,
Sebastian Friar,
I'm AJ Goncalves saying so long from the desert. We'll see you next week right here on Blaze.